What I'm doing, not a wise idea, but the risk to me, I'm not touching my current irons. So I can't get any worse than I'm at right now. I mean, I bought some ferrules and a couple tip weights off Amazon. I don't know, all in for like 25 bucks. Can AI fit me into a better set of irons than my current gamers? I can't wait to find out. Thanks for joining us. Real quick, if you're watching this, you have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be subscriber number 3 to Nick's Golf Lab. I hope you don't miss it. So here's what I did. I went through an entire bag mapping session on the SkyTrack ST Max launch monitor. I hit all my irons, and I put that data into Microsoft Copilot AI. Now, I already know a few things about my tendencies with my irons. My apex is too low, my spin is too low, my descent angle is too low. I hit the ball a little bit on the toe side of my iron and a groove or two higher than I would like to. Now, I'm currently playing the McGregor MT milled irons. They're a little bit stronger lofts, not game improvement type strong, but certainly not players type traditional. So right in the middle. So I took this whole data report that SkyTrack gave me, I uploaded it to Microsoft Copilot, I fed it the current iron specs, I told it that I hit the ball a little bit, a groove or two high, a little bit off the toe, I told it that my shot shape should be a fade, and I said, hey, what are some irons that would be better for my game? First thing Copilot did was suggest I find irons with higher CG and slightly toe side to help retain spin when I do hit it on that part of the club. It also suggested I find irons with slightly weaker lofts, which should help me get the ball up to a better apex and get a little bit more spin on my irons. But Copilot took all this information and took its recommendation, and it made a few suggestions of irons for me to try. When I couldn't find anything that was reasonably priced, I fed it a link to the sub 70 page of heads only and said, hey, is there anything on this page that would fit my specs? Apparently, the 659 TC is perfect for my needs. Those lofts 2 degrees weaker should theoretically, on paper, bring up my launch, bring up my spin, bring up my apex, and bring up my descent angle. There's also a weight in the toe, so not only will that help me see the fade that I'm trying to see, but also if I hit the ball on the toe, that CG is a little bit farther out there. I shouldn't lose as much spin and launch on those miss hits. So what will actually happen if I switch from the McGregor MT milled to the 659 TC from sub 70? That's what I want to find out. One thing that has me nervous about this experiment is sub 70 says right on the page, the 659 TC is recommended for players with 0 to 8 handicaps. I am nowhere near that range. So am I getting myself in over my head by trying to bag a set of irons that on paper I should have no business playing? We're gonna find out. How am I actually building these clubs? First, I'm repurposing a set of KBS Tour regular shafts that I had from a different set of irons from a long time ago. I got a fresh set of Golf Pride MCC plus 4 grips for this season that I've been saving specifically for this experiment. Got a couple other accessories off Amazon, some ferrules, a couple tip weights to make sure that the swing weights are at least in the ballpark of what I want them to be. For a set of irons, heads only from sub 70, I got a 5-iron through Gap Wedge for like 315 bucks, but I actually used their trade-in program. I traded 2 irons ago that I had from pre-COVID and a few other old clubs that I've had laying around the garage for 5+ years and got more than enough credit to cover the whole cost of the iron. I say that for a couple reasons. Just putting your launch monitor data into AI and then buying like a $1,500 set of clubs would not be a wise idea. What I'm doing also not a wise idea. I totally get that. The risk to me is pretty low. The worst case scenario, I have the same irons I've been playing for the last few years, which I actually really like. I just don't hit them perfectly. I've got these built. I have not hit them yet. So I just want to give a quick hypothesis before I take my first swings with these. My prediction is kind of boring, but I guess I think they're going to do exactly what I want them to do, which is spin more, fly higher, peak at a higher angle, land steeper, and stop a little bit quicker. Okay, we have the results. results. So let's get into it. The first thing that really stood out to me, and this is a surprise and really opened my eyes, the gap wedge. I have never been a fan of a gap wedge that is an extension of the iron set. I've always preferred it to be part of the wedge set, but I didn't realize how terrible I struck my 50-degree wedge that was part of my wedge set on a full swing shot. And that's the first thing I noticed in this data. I got about 1,000 RPM more spin, 5 feet higher apex in the same descent angle, and about 8 extra yards with my sub 70 gap wedge that I built. I would argue it's just the strike. I think I just struck it better on a full swing since it's part of the iron set and it's an extension of that whole set. It was more natural for me to put a full swing on it, and I got so much better results. So my old 50-degree is out, the new sub 70 gap wedge is in. So I wanted to bring up spin, bring up apex, and steepen my descent angle without giving up too much distance. That, I would say, were the goals. Now, what ended up happening, spin really didn't increase for me, which was the biggest surprise of this test. It was virtually the same, a little bit higher on a couple clubs, a little bit lower on others, but really, other than that gap wedge example, it was pretty identical through the set. If I do want that spin to go up, I might consider playing a little bit higher spin ball and see if I can get a little bit extra spin without giving up too much distance in that area. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna need it because peak height, descent angle, and stopping power all increased. These apex, 11 feet higher than my previous gamers. What that does to my descent angle, it's 2 degrees steeper on average, so significantly better at holding greens. Those are improvements I will see in my game every round that I play. Now, carry distance. Another bit of a surprise here because going with higher lofts, I thought that I would give up distance. I actually gained on average of 5 yards with the new irons. So 5 extra yards, 11 feet higher in the air, 2 degrees steeper descent angle with the exact same spin more or less through the set and a huge advantage in the gap wedge. All in all, this build is pretty successful, and I gotta say, like, this is just a sweet club. Do I think it's gonna help my scores? I don't know. If I'm honest, rolling the ball through greens wasn't the thing keeping me from shooting lower scores. Nobody who's played golf with me in the last 3 years was like, man, Nick, if you could peak the ball a little bit higher and land it a little bit steeper, you'd be unstoppable. Not planning for huge gains in my game, but this was really fun. I'm really happy with the way the irons turned out, and I'm really happy with some clear, undeniable performance benefits that I am adding to my game. Thanks for checking it out. We'll stay tuned. Next time I might try to see how these irons do with a little bit higher spin ball and see if I can't get that spin number a little bit more optimized through the bag without giving up too much, like I said, in distance. That might be a fun experiment. Stay tuned.